Hello, and welcome to Media Assault, the podcast about movies, music, and video games. Visit us online at mediaassault.com or on Twitter at mediaassault. Hello, and welcome to Media Assault, the podcast about movies, music, and video games. I'm your host, Sean Kazat, and this week is Games Week. And one thing that I wanted to say before I go any further on this episode is when I talk about games on this show, please know that I'm talking about video games, not board games or card games, neither of which I play, just video games. That may be confusing, but I have a tendency to just say games when I mean video games. Even in my logo for the podcast, it says gaming, and that means video games to me. So I apologize if that's been confusing for anybody. So this week I was kind of stumped for a topic. I even did a live chat on YouTube in the hopes of getting an idea for the show this week. Unfortunately, while that was very fun to chat with the, I think, 3 people that ended up showing up for my completely impromptu live stream, it did not garner any gaming topics. In my defense, as you may be able to tell from my voice, I have been sick for the past week. I got a cold about 2 weeks ago, and then that turned into a sinus infection, so I fell behind on preparing for the show this week. But as they say, the show must go on. So here we are. So what I thought I would do is talk about some upcoming games that look interesting. Actually, one game in particular. And then kind of an overview on some other games that are coming out. And then talk about my progress in the current game that I'm playing. And first off, God of War was released for the PS4 this past week, and while I initially wasn't interested, as I never finished any of the previous God of War games, there were 3 of them, what I've seen of the game since its release really does have me intrigued, and I want to buy it. The first 3 games just never appealed to me. I should say not the first 3 games, but the second 2 games didn't really appeal to me because I played through about half to 3/4 of the first one, and it just didn't click with me. And I got to that point where I tried to play through it because so many people that said that it was fantastic, and soon it just got to be a chore. That was on the PlayStation 2. And then an HD remaster came out for the PS3, and I tried it again, but that I got even less far into that version. And there was a version for, it wasn't the actual same game, but there was a God of War game for the PSP, as I recall, and I did try playing that, and I got into that, but I just really was never able to finish a game on the PSP. I didn't keep that system for very long. It was just really hard for me to control. I don't know if it's the size of my hands or the size of the system or what, but it just seemed to cramp my fingers up playing on it. Anyway, the 2018 version of God of War looks to really have added some maturity to the game, some drama and some actual emotion into the game series that, from what I remember, the only things that I really remember about the first one, aside from the puzzle elements and, of course, the hack and slash, which was really what the whole game was built upon, was gore and bare-breasted women, which was kind of a shock to some people back in the PS2 days. It was a mature-rated game, so that really shouldn't have been much of a shock to anybody who understands the ESRB ratings. But apparently it's shocked some people. But what really interests me about this new one is that father-son dynamic that's in it. It seems to have a lot stronger character development, and I can't say that it's better than the first 3 games or the PSP games, but it does seem something that I'll enjoy a lot more than the original attempts at this series. So it looks like it may be maybe rebooting the system for a new generation and for people who just didn't get into the games as much as maybe they should have. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting the new God of War, and I hope to have a review for you in the near future. Also this week, Microsoft announced another round of original Xbox games that are going to be playable on the Xbox One. Actually, there's 19 of them that they announced. Blinks the Time Sweeper, Breakdown, which was a really interesting first-person perspective game from Namco that came out, I think, in 2003. Conquer, Live and Reloaded, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Hunter the Reckoning, Jade Empire, Panzer Dragoon Orta, and SSX3. Say that 3 times fast with a sinus infection. Those games are going to hit the Xbox One on April 17th. And then on April 26th, Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior, Mercenaries Playground of Destruction, MX Unleashed, and then a whole bunch of Star Wars games. Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Starfighter, Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, and Republic Commando. And I am really psyched about Mercenaries. That's a game that was backwards compatible on the Xbox 360. I did have it for the original Xbox, and it was absolutely one of my favorite games for that system, hands down. It was also out for the PS2, but I never did play it on PS2. I played the Xbox version, and then it came out as a backwards compatible game for the Xbox 360, which I was really excited about. But there was a bug in it that caused it to crash or freeze up whenever you'd get near a particular area. I can't remember where that particular area was. I looked online to see if I could get some clarification on that, and some people said it was the Chinese areas of the map. Some people said it was Pyongyang. I'm not really sure where it actually was. But anyway, it causes the game to freeze, and I really hope that is fixed in the new attempt at a backwards compatible version for the Xbox One. I'm also looking forward to Jade Empire. That's a game I'd love to revisit. It was an adventure game by the same people that did the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games, BioWare. And it was that same kind of adventure type game. I really loved it. It was really fun. Unfortunately, my Xbox broke when I was about 3/4 of the way through the game. And I also lost my save file as a result of that Xbox breaking. I lost my save file for Knights of the Old Republic 2, and that game I had gotten to what I think was the final showdown with, I think his name was Darth Revan in that game. But now that both of these games are available, or going to be available for the Xbox One, Knights of the Old Republic already is, Jade Empire will be. I'd love to retry both of them. I would make time to play both of those games on the Xbox One. The Star Wars Battlefront games that are coming out for the backwards compatibility, from what I remember, they were really fun to play, but I don't know how much fun they're going to be without Xbox Live support. They were heavily multiplayer rooted from what I remember. And I think some people have said that you can connect to play against other people using some other method, maybe hooking it into a computer and using some sort of third-party software or something like that. I don't know if that's true or worth the hassle. But if I can find the games cheap in a physical version or on sale in digital form, I might try them out just to see how successful that might actually end up being. But in any case, adding these games to the current crop of original Xbox games that are available for the for the Xbox One, plus all of the Xbox 360 games that are currently backwards compatible, makes me very happy. Many of you know I do love my Xbox One X, but this just makes me happy because I have a ton of Xbox 360 games laying around. I still have my Xbox 360 hooked up to my TV, but it's just a lot easier to switch on one system and play them on one system, especially when they get the Xbox One X enhancements. Red Dead Redemption was just announced along with some other games that unfortunately I don't own, or I don't think I own. But anyway, it's the one that struck me as most. It just also received Xbox One X enhancement, and I do want to try that out. So anyway, some Xbox news there for you. I'm currently playing through Ubisoft's Far Cry 5 on the Xbox One X, and while I'm not quite finished with the game and can't review it as a whole yet, I thought I'd share a few thoughts that I have about it as I've played through it so far. First off, the setting of a rural Montana overrun by a cult is a really awesome scenario for a game. I think playing the game and then, when you step away from the game and you hear about real life events, when you refer back to the collapse that Joseph Seed, the cult leader, who's also known as the father in the game, when he refers to this collapse, it refers to something that seems like could actually be on the horizon in the real world. I think it's a really timely game that does a great job staying at least somewhat neutral politically. I think it was a risky move on Ubisoft's part to take on this kind of topic, but at least so far as I am into the game, they've done a marvelous job blending the real and fantasy aspects of the world as it is today. I think that's really cool. I think the voice acting and motion capture are some of the best I've ever seen in a game like this. Some of the AI for a few of the characters, the NPCs, gets a little bit wonky. Especially when a character gets into the driver's seat of the car you're trying to get into. I haven't figured a way to tell them to get out or to let me drive, because it doesn't seem to want to let me switch seats once they're in there. But overall, I think most of the computer-controlled characters are really well done, and all of the scripted scenarios or the scripted cutscenes and whatnot are really superb. I think they're just awesome. I'm about 19 hours in, and I guess I'm probably about half finished with the game, and I've never gotten a feeling of repetitiveness. Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal, which are the two last games in the series that I've played through and finished, they both were really good games, but they both started to feel like each section of the map was kind of lather, rinse, repeat after a while. I haven't felt that way at all in Far Cry 5. The missions have all been nicely varied, and some have been kind of strange, but none of them have been boring or repetitive. And I still have yet to explore the Far Cry arcade part of the game. I keep seeing in the pause, when I pause the game, there's a blurb to take part in that, and I see Far Cry arcade posters in the game, but I haven't tried that out at all yet. If you have, let me know your thoughts. Should I check it out? Or should I just keep plowing away through the game and just concentrate on that? In any case, I'm looking forward to completing the game and giving you a review as soon as I can, and I'm hoping to do that within the next week or so, so look for it. I mentioned at the top of the show that I did a YouTube live stream today. I didn't promote that I was going to do it, and I did it on a Friday evening, which probably isn't the best time to get a lot of participation, since a lot of people are going to be out or doing stuff with friends and whatnot on a Friday night, kicking off the weekend. But it was a lot of fun to do, and I will be doing one again soon. I will be promoting it a lot better this time around. But if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, please do so. There are a lot of movie, music, and gaming related videos for you to check out. And I will put a link in the show notes for this week's episode. That's it for this week. Next week is Movie Week. I'm planning on doing a movie review of Finnish superhero movie Rendell Dark Vengeance, or Rendell Dark Vengeance. I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced. And I also plan to do a review of The Rock's latest Rampage, the video game adaptation, which probably takes several liberties on the game. But I've heard good things, and since it features giant monsters, well, you know I'm a sucker for those, so I will be taking a look at that. In any case, I hope you decide to give that episode a listen. Thanks for tuning in this week. You can always drop me a line on Twitter at Media Assault, one word, or via Facebook, also at Media Assault. Episodes of the podcast are uploaded every Saturday and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. And Media Assault is hosted by Buzzsprout. Thanks again for listening. Take it easy.